Before we begin, I have a question for you. Have you ever lived next to someone who made your skin crawl, even though they never laid a hand on you? Because tonight's story is about that kind of neighbor. One I never truly saw, until it was almost too late. So grab your headphones, turn off the lights, and make sure your door is locked. Make sure to hit that subscribe button to have chills when after other videos are posted, because these are 3 true scary horror stories that will keep you up tonight. Story 1. The Woman in Apartment 3B. I moved into that old apartment complex last winter. The place wasn't fancy, cracked tiles, flickering hallway lights, and this weird smell in the stairwell. But rent was cheap, and I needed a fresh start. My unit was on the 3rd floor. The building was mostly empty, which I liked, until I noticed that the apartment across from mine, 3B, always had its door cracked open, just slightly. And behind that door was her. The first time I saw her was during my first week there. I had just brought in some groceries and felt that weird feeling you get when someone's watching you. I looked up, and she was standing in her doorway, pale skin, black, stringy hair, and these eyes, these 2 wide, glassy eyes that didn't blink. She didn't smile, didn't move, just stared, forced chuckle, trying to be casual. I gave her a little wave. "Hi," she said nothing, not a twitch, just stared. Faint, repetitive knocking sound begins under music, 3 slow knocks. I turned and went inside. I figured, maybe she's just shy, or maybe something was wrong. But that wasn't the last time I saw her. Every night after that, I'd wake up around 3 a.m., always 3 a.m., always for no reason. And then came the knocking. Knock, knock. Knock, silence. 3 slow knocks at my front door. No footsteps, no voices, just those knocks. I didn't answer. But the next day, I asked the landlord if anyone had complained about weird stuff on the 3rd floor. He just gave me this look, imitating landlord, older voice. "You live across from 3B? Count yourself lucky she hasn't knocked on your window yet." I laughed nervously. "What does that mean?" He just muttered, "She keeps to herself. Has for years." One night I got curious. I stood outside her door, listening. Nothing. No TV, no footsteps, no life. Then, I heard her voice, whisper from behind a door. "You shouldn't be listening." I jumped back. My blood ran cold. I backed away and locked myself inside. But from then on, I knew. She knew I was watching her, too. Fast forward to a snowstorm in January. It was midnight, and I was taking the trash out. As I came back up the steps, I stopped cold. Creepy stinger, sudden swell of eerie strings. She was outside my window, barefoot, in the snow, just standing there, staring up at my apartment. Didn't shiver. She didn't blink. Her head turned slowly, unnaturally slow, and her eyes locked with mine. I ran back inside, slammed the door, looked through the blinds, but she was gone. And the worst part? There weren't any footprints. None. Not a single one. Now here's where it all broke apart for me. I finally asked one of the long-term tenants, this older guy named Carl, if he knew what was up with her. "There's no 3B kid." "What do you mean?" "I've seen her. I've seen the door." "That unit's been sealed since '09. Woman died in there. They walled it off." I didn't believe him, until I checked the hallway the next morning. No number on the door. Just a peephole. And hundreds of tiny scratches around the frame, like something, or someone, was trying to claw out. I knocked once. No answer. But as I turned to leave, "Don't go. I'm almost out." I moved out 2 weeks later. Didn't care about my deposit. Didn't care about the moving cost. But Slow, pulsing heartbeat music returns. Cold, whispery wind. 2 nights before I left. I woke up at 3 a.m. This time, the knock wasn't on my front door. It was at my bedroom window. 2nd floor. I pulled back the curtain, and I swear to God, it was her face. Smiling. Only this time. Her eyes weren't blank. They were mine. So tell me, have you ever met a neighbor who made your skin crawl? Someone who was just wrong? Drop your answer in the comments, because if you ever find yourself living across from apartment 3B, leave before she gets out. Story 2. I got a smart doorbell. Then I saw who rang it at 3 a.m. Technology is supposed to make us safer, smarter, more secure. But what happens when the thing meant to protect you starts showing you things no one should ever see? Tonight's second story is about a smart doorbell and a warning you'll never read in the manual. Technology is supposed to make us safer, smarter, more secure. But what happens when the thing meant to protect you starts showing you things no one should ever see? Tonight's second story is about a smart doorbell and a warning you'll never read in the manual. I bought the doorbell on Black Friday. One of those video models with night vision, 2-way audio, the works. It felt like a smart choice. I lived alone, had weird neighbors, and the idea of seeing who came by while I was at work made me feel a little safer. It was great at first. Super easy to use. Got alerts on my phone. Even recorded a video of a raccoon stealing my Uber Eats one night. I sent that clip to my friends and got a bunch of laughs. Then, the night alerts started. The first one came at 3:12 a.m. on a Thursday. Ding-dong motion detected. Front door. I was already awake, couldn't sleep, so I checked the app. Camera static sound. It showed someone standing at my front door. A man. He was facing away from the camera, completely still. Just standing there with his head slightly tilted to the left. I watched for about 30 seconds. No movement. He didn't knock, didn't ring, didn't look back. Then, the feed glitched. Just for a second. When it came back, he was gone. I figured it was a drunk neighbor or maybe some weird camera bug. But the next night, same time. Ding-dong, motion detected, front door, slow rise in distorted tones. This time, the man was closer. His back was still to the camera, but now I could see that his head was too long. The proportions weren't right. Like someone had stretched him in a photo editor. Again, he didn't move, didn't knock, didn't turn around. And again, after 30 seconds, static. Then gone. This went on for 4 more nights. Each time he got closer. Each time he never moved. The 7th night, I woke up shaking. I didn't want to check the alert, but I had to know. Beat drops to low, tense rumble. I opened the app, and my blood turned to ice. He was staring directly into the camera, eyes wide, pupils blown out, and his mouth was just slightly open, like he was about to say something, but he never did, just stood there, frozen. I called the police the next day, showed them the footage. They sent a car out but said there was no one on the street, no footprints, no signs of forced entry, and the weirdest part? They said the man's face couldn't be made out on the footage they downloaded. It was just static, but I could still see it clearly on my phone. Music shifts to glitchy, digital hum. That night I stayed up. I didn't sleep, and at 3:14 a.m., the doorbell rang. Ding-dong. Motion detected, front door. But this time, when I opened the app, he was inside my house, standing at the foot of my bed. I froze. Didn't move, didn't breathe. I looked to the foot of my bed, no one there. I looked back at the feed. He was still there, staring at me. He raised one hand, slowly, like he was waving. Then the screen glitched, and he vanished. I tore that doorbell off the wall the next day, smashed it with a hammer and threw the pieces in the trash. But, soft phone buzz, a week later, I got a push notification. Ding dong, motion detected, front door. I didn't even have a doorbell anymore. I opened the app. The feed was still active. The camera showed my porch, empty. Then the feed glitched, and for one frame, just one single frame, he was behind me. Sudden distortion noise. Then, silence. I don't use smart devices anymore. No Alexa, no doorbell, no Wi-Fi cameras. I even took the battery out of my smoke detector after I thought I heard it whisper. But sometimes, at exactly 3:14 a.m., I still hear the doorbell ring, even though there's no doorbell left to ring. Have you ever had your smart device do something it shouldn't? Let me know in the comments. And if your doorbell rings in the middle of the night, don't answer it. Story 3. My dad's hunting cabin. Had one rule: never open the basement door. Have you ever stayed somewhere that felt wrong? Not because of anything obvious, but because of what people don't say about it. This last story isn't about haunted houses, or urban legends, or mysterious strangers. It's about a family secret, buried beneath an old hunting cabin, and one rule that was broken, just once. Cue ominous pluck of strings, cut to silence. My dad's hunting cabin was about 4 hours from where we lived, smack in the middle of dense forest, no cell reception, and no neighbors for miles. We only went up a few times a year. I was 13 the first time he took me. I remember thinking how cool it was. The old fireplace, the deer heads on the wall, the giant axe by the door. It felt like a movie set. But before we even unpacked, my dad looked me dead in the eye and said, "Whatever you do, never open the basement door. Ever." Cue faint, low hum, something unnatural. Naturally, I asked why. He just said, "Old foundation. Steps are unstable. Could fall through." Sarcastic chuckle. Even at 13, I could tell he was lying. Over the years, we went back maybe 6 or 7 times. He always avoided the basement. He even nailed the door shut one summer. Nails being hammered, muffled banging sounds. I'd hear him downstairs at night sometimes, dragging something heavy. Once I heard a voice, low and wet, like someone choking. But when I got up, he said I'd had a nightmare. But I knew I was awake. The last trip was years later. I was 19. My dad had passed away the month before, and the cabin was now mine. Part of me didn't want to go back, but something about that basement, I had to know. When I got there, the place was just like I remembered. Dusty, cold, still. The basement. Doctor was still nailed shut, but now it had a chain lock across it too. I told myself I just wanted to look. One quick peek. Just to prove it was nothing. I got a crowbar from the shed. Took me almost an hour to get the nails out. The door creaked, open like something out of a horror movie. Door creaking, metal chains clinking, and then I saw the stairs. They weren't unstable. They weren't even dirty. They were made of smooth stone. Carved. Old. Too old to belong in a cabin built in the 1970s. I descended with my phone flashlight. 10 steps. Then 20. The air got colder. Wetter. At the bottom was a door. Not wood. Iron. Bolted shut, but scratched. Deeply. Reading aloud. On the wall beside it, in faded red chalk, Someone had written, "Do not feed after dark." Distorted hum creeps in. I turned to leave, but I heard it. A voice. Wet, pleading whisper from behind iron. "Please. He's gone now. Let me out. He kept me here. Your father kept me here." I froze. "I'm cold. Please, you're not like him. Please." I don't know why, but I stepped closer. The voice sounded human, terrified, weak, like someone who'd been chained in the dark for years. I undid the latch. Click of old bolts. Slow creak of iron door opening. Sharp intake of breath. The second the door opened, the smell hit me, rot, copper, damp earth, and the thing inside, it wasn't human. Sudden screech, layered with a distorted growl. I slammed the door, locked it, ran back up the stairs. Whatever it was, it didn't chase me. It didn't need to, because that night, it came upstairs on its own. I woke up to scratching at the inside of the fireplace. Low, irregular scraping sounds begin under narration, and a voice, dry, delighted. "You let me out." Shaking. I left that cabin and never went back. I don't care if I inherited it. I don't care if someone offers me $1 million for it. The next week, I burned the deed. But sometimes, late at night, I hear scratching behind the wall of my apartment, and a voice. "You brought me home." My dad didn't nail that door shut to keep something in. He did it to keep it from following us. So if you ever stay in an old cabin, and they tell you not to open the basement, don't. Creepy cello swell. Fade to wind and soft distant knocking. So, if any of that feels familiar, if you've ever had that strange feeling something's watching you, maybe your own story is next. If you made it this far, you're braver than most, but I have to ask, have you experienced something unexplainable? Share your true story and you might hear it in the next episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the bell icon, because next week's stories, they're even darker. Thanks for watching. Curiosity, where truth hides in the shadows.